So this morning, I was just sitting there innocently reading a newspaper article about the potential for a US debt default, and I asked Adam what he thought. And he said, yeah, it might be about a 20% chance that the US will default and send the economy into a death spiral. Could be about a 50% drop in the stock market. What? I was like, how are you just sitting there eating your bowl of oatmeal? Shouldn't we be going into panic mode? But then I thought, okay, this is a guy who also loves to just take a snack break and dangle his feet over a 3,000-foot cliff. He just looked at me and smiled and said, actually, this could be a really great opportunity. Adam does this all the time. He'll use his confidence and all the knowledge in this big old head of his to somehow justify why a disaster could turn into a really good thing. So this time when he started, I said, hold on, let me get the camera out because I think that you guys need to hear this one. So, my good man, tell me, what is up with this debt crisis situation?
All right, well, the basic gist is this. If Congress refuses to raise the debt ceiling by next month, a lot of bad things are going to happen. Number one, the US will start defaulting on its treasury debt, which means that people will start fleeing treasuries. Interest rates will likely shoot up. Money market funds might lock up. It'll be very hard to get your money out of things. And the stock market will almost certainly begin to crash.
Has this ever happened before?
Actually, no. No, it has happened a few times where we've gotten close, back in the 90s with Newt Gingrich and in the 2010s when John Boehner was Speaker of the House. It always seems to be when there's a Democratic president and a Republican House for some reason. And the Republicans sort of take it really, really close and they threaten and, we're going to blow the House down. And then they strike a deal at the last minute, which kind of makes sense because nobody really wants to cause the whole American economy to tank.
So why wouldn't they just work it out this time?
Well, think about it like this. Getting power from threatening not to raise the debt ceiling is kind of like walking into a bank and demanding money by carrying a grenade and not a gun. In other words, you're saying, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to destroy everything. So in general, in the past, people don't want to destroy everything. I mean, politicians tend to get into politics because they want to make America better. However, we now have a certain breed of politician, which is on the very far right fringe of the Republican Party. You've definitely seen their faces, the Matt Gaetzes, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, people like this, who their whole brand is basically, look at me, pay attention to me, I'm going to wreck stuff. It's not really about negotiating and building. And so these people don't have the same incentive that politicians have always had in the past to make a deal. Now, the vast majority of Republican Congresspeople are reasonable beings. However, just the way that the vote worked out this year, this small fringe of the Republican Party has a very disproportionate power over the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. And they seem to be able to get him to do what they want. So it's very, very possible that this time we could actually go into default.
And what happens if we do?
Well, nobody knows for sure because it's never happened before. But two things are almost certain. Interest rates will shoot up because people will be afraid to hold US bonds because they might not get their money back. And when interest rates shoot up, as you know, the stock market tends to plummet. It also plummets with uncertainty. Lots of foreigners will be uncertain about holding dollars. The dollar's always been the world's kind of reserve currency. That may end with a debt default. So lots of people are going to be pulling their money out of the US and out of US companies. That's going to make the economy go down in a big, big hurry, which is kind of a disaster, but also could present a really nice opportunity.
But if people lose trust in the US economic system, couldn't that just theoretically ruin the US economy forever?
Actually, that's a really good question. We don't know because it's never happened before, but honestly, I doubt it. One thing about the US system is it's incredibly resilient. We screw up sometimes, we make mistakes. We definitely happened during the great financial crisis of 2008, but we recover because our system allows for innovation, and the best minds, really from all over the world, tend to come here and start their businesses. It's why we invented the internet, mobile phones, Now we're definitely leading the world in artificial intelligence, which I think is going to be a huge driver of profits over the next decade or so. So even if we really screw this up, I'm still a big believer that we'll be able to come back. And if stocks drop 30% or 40%, what a buying opportunity.
So then going back to your original point, how exactly do we take advantage of this opportunity?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, everyone's going to do it differently, but I'll tell you what we're doing. We are holding more cash right now than we ever have. Not in treasuries, not in money market funds, just in a bank account earning almost no interest. That's a short term thing that's just waiting to see what happens and how this debt ceiling thing plays out. But we've got about $150,000 in cash right now. And my plan is if it plays out the way I suspect it might, we're going to start seeing major drops in the stock market. And I plan to deploy that 150,000 in tranches. It drops 5%, $25,000 goes right into VTI. It drops another 5%, another 25,000. This will go all the way until it drops 30%, if it drops 30%, and then we will be pretty much all in. If it drops past that, I don't know, we'll just have to do a little extra work and put that money into. But so it's a way of taking advantage of that drop, and feeling like, it's working for us rather than against us in the long run.
Well, I guess it makes me feel a little bit more calm, but I don't know about you guys. I still really hope we do not default on this debt.
I hope we don't too, because that amount of uncertainty is terrible and it could be really, really, really bad.
Mhm.
But I suspect there will be some way that it gets worked out. And so if it puts enough of a scare into the markets, and in fact, it might be the market crashing that actually encourages Congress to get it together and work it out. So I just really want to be ready right now to deploy some cash if this does happen. I think it could potentially present one of the best buying opportunities of the last, I would say, 15 years since 2008. So that's our plan. I'd really like to know what you guys think and what your plan is for dealing with this potential debt crisis, if anything, or if you're just kind of sticking to your guns and doing your regular thing.
Let us know, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.